Welcome to Movie Dumpster, Season 8, Episode 1. Today we're talking about The Brood from 1979, directed by David Cronenberg. And is this the most underrated David Cronenberg movie? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Welcome to The Dumpster. What's the saying, Sean? New year, new me? Is that the thing?
I mean, I got a haircut. You shaved my beard a little. Got a new Luffy shirt.
There you good. You're all good to go there.
I didn't have the classic Brood regalia ready, but
well, I've had this shirt for a long time.
King of the Pirates does pretty good though for the Brood, right? Yeah, come on. He's underrated.
I wonder if David Cronenberg watches One Piece.
I wonder if he does. Hey, David, if you're in the comments, let us know what your favorite One Piece character is.
Oh man, here we are back, Season 8.
Yes,
Season 8.
Can't make any jokes.
The infinity loop, the racetrack, the Ouroboros. I don't know.
Yeah, infinite wealth. Oh, Yakuza, like a dragon. There you go.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I like the infinity pool. Didn't review that one, but that's a movie.
It's also a thing that you can swim in.
Ask me at Goth and Bill Skarsgård about that, actually. But yes, The Brood, Cronenberg. How have we not done a Cronenberg movie until the 8th season? I don't know, but we'll probably be asking ourselves a lot. That question a lot this year, I feel like.
We've discussed The Brood quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Over the past 7 years of doing this show.
Even before the show even.
Well, no, I'm saying, though, but recorded history
yes, right.
of Movie Dumpster, we've talked a lot about The Brood. I've gone on record many times saying that this is my favorite Cronenberg movie, which it is.
I forgot about that then. I was wondering about that.
This is the first time I've really delved deep in and analyzed this movie, so that's going to be fun this time. I mean, I always knew why I liked it, but to do it for the show and actually review it, it was another enjoyable experience to do.
There's definitely some symbolism I've missed on previous viewings that this time when I was pausing it a few times to write shit down, I was like, oh,
dude, yeah, it's jam-packed.
Yeah.
And one of the things I came across when I was researching a little bit of the behind the scenes for this was that this is a few people's favorite Cronenberg movies, including Michael Ironside.
Really?
And Oliver Reed.
That's kind of interesting. Ironside.
Yeah.
He's some fucking Scanners. I don't like my own movie.
Yeah. Well, not that
I'm on the cover.
Not that he doesn't like it, but that is this is the movie that he enjoys the most.
Sure.
You know? It'd be weird to say, my favorite movie, Scanners, because I'm in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy.
I play such a good villain.
But this was also a turning point. We're going to get into it, but this was like a turning point for Cronenberg's career. Really.
I could see that.
I think that it might be a lot of people's favorites, but it's not one that I hear a lot of people talk about. So that's why I think that it's underrated. When you the things that are synonymous with David Cronenberg are like Videodrome,
right,
or The Fly, or Scanners. You know, you always everybody uses the GIF of the fucking dude's head blowing up,
or Dead Zone.
The Dead Zone, of course,
which is actually probably my favorite Cronenberg. Weirdly enough, it's between that and The Fly, I think. But we'll find out if The Brood's right up there, Joe. It might be.
I'm gonna tell you, it might not be aesthetically or technically the best of his films, but I think it's the most impactful for me and resonating with me.
Totally relate to stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the show many times. I mean, not to always go back. At least I always go back to Godfather. Is one that people are always like, best movie ever. I mean, I wouldn't totally disagree, but that's not what we're talking about. There's things that are personal to you, things that make each movie special to you. And there's a lot about The Brood, which I think we might agree on once we get into this, that is special.
Oh, absolutely. But before we get into the rage manifestations, if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster. You can get an ad-free audio version of the show for only $2 a month, and you get some other great stuff at the $5 or $10 tiers. Stuff like commentary tracks, live watch-alongs, minisodes, all that good stuff. Help support your favorite show if you can, and if not, that's okay.
And if you're watching here on YouTube, please like the video and share it. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, leave us that 5-star review and a like. And if you're not subscribed, also hit that button. It really does help. All those things help grow this dumpster community and get more eyeballs, eardrums, and everything in between focused here on the dumpster. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man, those reviews mean more than anything. If you want to help support the show, that's a really great way to do it. But you can also head over to moviedumpsterpodcast.com. You can get our stuff in the store. We have a store there if you want to buy some stuff. And you can see our calendar there with all the stuff that's coming up where the Dumpster Boys are going to be. We got an event on January 25th. We're going to be hanging out in Chamonix Creek for Tapes from the Crypt Presents Found Footage Festival. The 20th anniversary, I think.
Wow.
Of Found Footage Festival. That's fucking incredible. Congratulations, fellas. And we will be vending there, and so we'll be hanging out for all the festivities. So yeah, come down into Chamonix Creek on January 25th, and we'll see you there. But yes, David Cronenberg.
Yes.
One of my favorite directors of all time.
I'd have to think about that. I have to like count his movies up, but we just listed a bunch of them at the top there, and I think I like all those films.
Every one of those I think is a banger. And Naked Lunch is another big one that I really love. I mean, he like the man has made something that was practically unfilmable.
Okay.
The book, the William S. Burroughs book.
Does that sound familiar? Is that like a kid's book?
No, that's not a kid's book.
I'm thinking of something else.
Ignore me. It's a homosexual, drug-addled heroin adventure.
I guess I need to see Naked Lunch. I've never even really delved into it.
You read the book. It's a fucking mindfuck. William S. Burroughs. But the movie has Peter Weller in it.
There you go.
I'm sure
is there a corpulent rat in there, Joe?
Yeah, Julian Sands is in it too. No, but mugwumps are in it. Where they fucking suck the juice from their fucking dick tips. It's a wild ride, dude. So definitely check that one out if you haven't.
That makes me think of Rabid, actually, with the dick tips, sucking things with dick tips. I watched Rabid.
Oh, when did you watch Rabid?
2 days ago.
The original?
Yeah, that he made before this, the film before this.
Yeah, there's the Shivers and there's Rabid, yeah.
A Rabid where it's like people go rabid. They're kind of turning into zombies or some shit.
They turn out a zombie, like some chick gets like a
That's why
rhinoplasty or like, not rhinoplasty, plastic surgery.
Plastic surgery.
And she has like a fucking dick armpit.
That's what made me think of
vampire thing that like bites people. And,
it's not for me.
It's Marilyn Chambers.
Yeah, Marilyn Chambers.
Yeah.
Very famous porn actor from the 70s.
Very famous.
I didn't love it. I get the appeal. Wasn't my favorite Cronenberg.
Well, that's why I said earlier before we kind of got into this that it was like The Brood is also kind of Cronenberg coming into his own.
Sure, I could see it. And they have a bunch of his movies on the Criterion channel right now. A lot of his like the 4Ks from Criterion.
Yeah.
So if you're actually looking to watch some of these films, there's like 4 or 5 of them on that. Currently, as of this recording.
If that doesn't tell you enough about Cronenberg, where most of his films are fucking available either on Criterion Disc or to stream on Criterion Channel, he might be kind of good.
Just me. I mean, he's in Jason X.
Yeah,
that's got to give you something, right?
Well, he's also in whatchamacallit, Nightbreed.
Well, Nightbreed, a little bit more of a character there. Jason X is such a comedic satire point there.
What the fuck is he doing in that movie?
Yeah, it's funny.
He owed somebody a favor or something.
It's Jason X, man.
But yeah, The Shivers was his first movie. Again, if you're not familiar with David Cronenberg, we're just going to talk a little bit about Cronenberg because we've never done it before, so we'd love to do that. But yeah, The Shivers is basically like a parasite that gets loose from this guy who's like doing experiments, and it makes you want to fuck. And so it's like this fucked up like apartment building full of crazy shit. Go check it out.
Okay, yeah.
And then Rabid we just talked about, which is a little like George Romero's The Crazies. It's very adjacent to that when you watch it.
I could see it. I haven't seen Crazies in a minute, but now that you mention it, yeah.
And like what it comes out of.
No,
they like turn them into zombies or some shit. I mean, they never really explain it.
Well, that's my problem with Rabid. It's just like, okay, she gets this skin graft and now like a thing's coming out of her arm. And I feel like my problem with it is that a lot of the movies her just walking around.
Sure. But, you know, this is his first... The Brood is his first movie before he does Scanners the next year after The Brood, and then following suit comes Videodrome, and then I think The Fly comes in there.
And Dead Zone's in there somewhere in the pocket.
Dead Zone's... No, that's... I don't know if Dead Zone's before or after The Fly, but it's in the pocket there. And then, you know, he does Naked Lunch, and he does History of Violence, and some other Crimes of Futures Past.
Not the X-Men one?
Crimes of the Future, excuse me.
Okay, yeah. Two different things.
Well, it was Crimes of the Future was a short film, and then I think he did it again.
Oh, he did it as like a full length.
I think he did. Okay. I might be getting that wrong. I know he definitely did a film called Crimes of the Future. Anyway, yeah, man, Canucksploitation at its finest. We've brought that up a few times, especially on the Pit episode and the My Bloody Valentine episode. This is Canadian made.
You could tell by the accent sometimes.
Well, Art Hindle, man, he's out there. He's doing it to right. He's out there, man.
Well, they talk about different locations in Canada too. There's at least 1 or 2 lines in the movie where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Toronto, Montreal, okay.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about that is a lot of this was shot in Toronto, and I was actually in Toronto in December.
Oh, really?
So I went to go to an on-set cinema for Black Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And they showed Black Christmas in the police station.
Was Art Hindle there?
Art
He's
Hindle
in
was,
Black Christmas?
Art Hindle was not there.
Is he looking for his girlfriend who's upstairs with a fucking bag over her head?
Well, now that you mention it, Lynn Griffin was there, who had got the bag over her head.
Oh, literally?
She was there. Yeah.
Where's Art?
Yeah, she was there. Oh, it was so cool, man. She actually put the bag over her head and did like a video of it. It was really funny. She was telling all like anecdotes about the movie and like making the movie and Bob Clark and stuff. It was such a great way to kind of because I love Bob Clark too.
Oh yeah, well, Black Christmas, one of the all-time great horror
that's
movies.
Like absolutely, it's one of the best, if not the best.
Definitely Christmas
in its genre.
Yeah,
but you know, it's just always fun to get some insight, especially into Bob, how he was as a person and like filmmaking and stuff. So that was really special. And we saw it in the room where John Saxon is in the police station.
Fellatio.
Yeah, fellatio. It was great. Like I was there. Like
that's cool
in their movie. And you're probably seeing pictures now if you're watching on YouTube. But not only did we go there for that, I went around to different filming locations, and one of which being the Brood. And I went to the school where they shot the Brood, the exterior of the school where they shot the Brood. So you're gonna throughout this, I'm gonna show some pictures if you're watching on YouTube, and like when we get to the actual school scenes.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. I also visited a bunch of places that were filmed for The Brain, which we were actually gonna do The Brain for December last year.
Oh, last year, yeah. We were talking about it maybe, yeah.
Technically, it's a Christmas movie.
Again, another one I haven't seen. You keep listing all these movies. I'm like, I haven't not seen them.
It's so fucking good, dude. It's David Gale is in it. Yeah. Oh my god, like that's another classic I used to watch all the time. We're gonna get to, I want to get to that this year, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we had such a good time. Got to go to the school and stuff, and it was so awesome. Like this is I'm gonna say it again. I'm probably gonna say it a bunch of times, but like this is my favorite Cronenberg movie. So being there was fucking surreal.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because it just like you're there and you're like, holy fuck, like this is it. You know what I mean?
It's like seeing the firehouse for Ghostbusters in New York.
It's just bizarre, you know? It was such a cool thing. But yeah. So yeah, the kind of the catharsis of this movie, The Brood, and how it came about was like Cronenberg was having his own problems and going through his own divorce.
Really?
And that's how this movie kind of came into being. And I think
so. He's Frank. His wife is Samantha Eggers.
I think he's even gone on record where like Samantha Eggar is like very akin to his wife or reminded him of his wife. So
the embodiment.
Yeah, the embodiment thereof. The whole exterior womb and everything. No. But you know, I think it's a very personal film for him. Whereas, like, you know, you look at latter movies of his, and you know, like Videodrome is obviously a social commentary on media and how we consume it and things like that. Yeah. But this is very family driven.
Yeah, it is. Actually,
it's very reflective of you growing up and your past and kind of overcoming those things. And it's heavy in the psychology and psychiatric things that were kind of taboo. Maybe not taboo at the time, but a lot of people weren't going to get help if they had childhood issues or things like that. It was always, you know, push it down. I
mean, you even got the Santa Claus. That was the 90s, still making fun of this shit.
Still making fun of that shit. And the tough guy thing, you know what I mean? And like those are the most fucked up people are the ones that don't ever get any help.
Right, don't ask for it ever, right.
Or too proud to, rather. So I connect with that. There's a lot of things as we go through that kind of hit home in different things, especially childhood traumas and growing up and kind of working through those things. And the whole catharsis of this movie is like the manifestation of those things into an actual physical horror, which is fucking brilliant to me.
Into the
Brood TM, which I think is just brilliant about this film outright. But
I mean, Cronenberg wrote it. I mean, he wrote a lot of his movies that he also directed, but you could feel it on the page. Well, not on the page, on the screen. Yeah, from the page to the screen.
Page to screen, for sure. It just feels very personal, even when you watch the film.
I think that's what I mean, without even knowing that.
And I mentioned this is one of Oliver Reed's favorite films. Oliver Reed is in this movie.
Yeah, he's the Dr. Raglan.
Yeah, Dr. Raglan. I was going to like wait to talk about him, but I want to talk about him a little bit more too, because he's like one of my favorite actors too. I really like him a lot. I love Oliver Reed. Curse the Werewolf, The Devils, Burnt Offerings, Spasms. Yeah, he's just so fucking cool. And like his demeanor in this movie is just he's always whispering in this movie, and he's talking at such a regular, unless he's like doing his like psychiatrist thing,
like Moreau a little bit.
He's very just talking like this, and he's very I don't know. He's a sexy Britishman. I don't know.
He is.
He's such a cool motherfucker. And it's cool because I've seen the segment that's included on this
The behind the scenes
as a special feature, but it's him and Orson Welles and Charo on a fucking in 1980, like right before Orson Welles died, like 5 years before, and it's just bonkers, wacky shit. I mean,
how drunk is Welles?
Yeah, he's pretty fucked up, I think.
Shocker.
But Oliver Reed is just was always known to be just a fucking crazy nut, dude. Like, he was always doing wacky shit. He got like a tattoo on his dick. I remember that he's like talking about that in some interview, which was hilarious.
You have a tattoo in a very unusual place.
Yes, on my cock.
But one of the big things from this is when they were shooting this, they were all fucked up at a bar. Art Hindle tells the story too, where, you know, they're all fucked up at this bar and somebody dared him to walk to the next bar completely fucking naked. So this motherfucker strips down bare ass and walks to the next Canadian bar.
I guess he did it then, okay?
He won the bet, but he got arrested. And they had to bail him out.
Well, maybe not worth it then.
So fucking funny, man. The guy was a nut. He's crazy.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But he's also like that, you know, British suave,
Yeah.
chic kind of crazy. Yeah, fuck it. I'll drink 20 fucking whiskey sours and go naked down the street. You know what I mean?
James Bond kind of shit.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Suave.
He was suave. He was fucking and sucking and doing all kinds of crazy
yeah.
shit, man. He definitely lived it up. That's for damn sure. And that's kind of it. That's all I've got for this. I think the film kind of speaks for itself. It's the first time that Howard Shore works with Cronenberg, and his score is fucking so good.
It's really
on
good.
this. I mean,
haunting.
It's so excellent, and they would go on, and Shore would do a lot of his scores. I think except for Dead Ringers, I think is the only one. Or not Dead Ringers. Is it Dead Ringers or Dead Zone?
Well, Dead Zone's the Christopher Walken one where he has like precognosis or some shit.
I always get them fucking confused. The other one's Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's what is that? When you touch people, you could see like the future Psycho.
The shit that Ali Oates has.
Right from the Boneyard. Yeah, he's got that in the movie.
Oh my god! Why
Stephen
can't
King book.
Why can't I think the fucking? Yeah, it is the Stephen King book.
I want to say it's
It's
psychosomatic.
Dead Zone. No, it's Psycho something.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
We'll remember an hour from now, and it won't matter anymore.
Psychometry. That's
there
what it
you
is.
go.
There,
okay,
that's what it is. Psychometry.
Dead Zone. Yeah,
Dead
they actually
Zone.
did like a TV show based on that. Even there might be multiple TV shows based on the concept.
Is it Dead Zone or Dead Ringers? That's the fucking TV show.
Dead Ringers is a totally different thing.
I know. Dead Ringers is where they like die and then come back and resuscitate each other.
Oh, that's different.
I know it's different. I'm saying I think that's the TV show.
No, I'm saying there's a Dead Zone TV show.
Is there
It
really?
came out like 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. So then that must have been like a
Just
readaptation.
based on the concept of, he could touch people and he knows what's going to happen to him.
Gotcha. Is that like the readaptation of the King book?
I guess, but it was a TV show.
So yeah, let's just jump right into this. You want to plot crunch this real quick? Plot crunch, not explain the whole thing. Just,
okay.
Yeah.
So this woman is in a psychiatrist help facility or something. But anyway, she's estranged from her husband and her daughter. And there's something fucky going on here, but the husband doesn't really know what. He just kind of finds his daughter has a lot of like beat marks on her back, and he starts to investigate it. And he kind of goes down this rabbit hole of what is really happening at this clinic. And as he finds out more and more, he's getting nervous. And long story short, his wife has some problems she's kind of dealing with, both medically, physically, and mentally. She's not all there, Joe.
No.
And there's also this character played by Oliver Reed who's supposedly guiding her, supposedly helping her, the psychiatrist. And spoilers, he's actually making it way fucking worse.
Well, he has his own nefarious purposes.
Right, yeah.
We'll talk about it, but she's like his poster child for his psychoplasmics thing.
Right. And really kind of the crutch to this whole movie is the story of a father trying to protect his daughter and the trials and tribulations in this Cronenberg universe that he has to go through to kind of do the right thing for his kid and stop this madness, because people also are getting murdered by these little like kids with fucking beaks, by the way. That's also important.
We'll get to it.
So yeah, that's the gist.
So we open up and right out of the gate, Oliver Reed is talking to one of his patients. Now, Oliver Reed plays Dr. Hal Raglan. Like Sean said, he is the founder of Psychoplasmics. which is a form of psychiatry that he performs,
Right.
wherein he manipulates these people into in role playing situations, and then has their fear and rage and their feelings basically manifest on their body in tumors and lesions and all these kinds of things, which is already an interesting concept to begin with.
Right. And he's doing like an exhibition with this guy. I think his name's Mike or Mikey.
Yeah.
Who I could have sworn just because I just watched Rabid. He's like the truck driver or someone that turns into one of the Rabid people.
He might be.
So that was kind of funny. And one of his regulars, I guess Cronenberg's regulars, is this guy who I forgot he had such a major role in the film. And when he comes back later, I'm like, oh, right. But first, you don't really know, like Joe said, that he's doing this kind of therapy with this guy where he's pretending to be his father, his daddy, and Mikey's kind of reliving this trauma he had as a kid. More or less.
Yeah, because like his dad didn't love him or whatever. He hates him, and he's like really debasing him, dude. He's like, we should have called you Michelle, and we'll put you in a fucking dress and all this shit. And he's just saying all this like heinous ass shit to him.
He's like yelling at him at one point.
But then so this therapy is like he's working through it.
Yeah. But there's a crowd of people. That's what I'm saying. It's an exhibition.
No, I know, but he's like working through it with this guy, but he's not necessarily healing this guy.
I mean, all those lesions appear on his face and he hugs them, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem like he's helping him at all.
Because like later in the movie, he says like he's addicted to the doctor and all this kind of shit.
Right. Like it's like he needs that fix. Almost like Elmer and brain damage,
right,
you know?
Right. But like they're all experiments. They're not. Wow. He's not necessarily trying to help anybody.
No.
Right.
Wow. And they go deeper into that later. But you're right. Right off the gate, or right out of the gate, you're kind of like, huh? What's going on here? Even Art Hindle, who when he walks in to watch this,
he's like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah. And you have like this one student, like this college.
He's a genius.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Look at him. Oh my god, look at him work. It's amazing.
Art Hindle's like shaking his head, like, I'm gonna meet this guy after.
He's like, where the fuck's my wife? Where's my kid that I gotta pick up? So yeah, Art Hindle and his wife are divorced. His wife is Nola, played by Samantha Eggar, and his name is Frank. The Carveths, and their daughter is Candace, who they call Candy. So she, as we find out, is a patient at this place, and he comes to pick up Candy, and she's like she has her own room there at the facility. So he picks her up and
puts her in a Ralphie coat.
Yeah,
for Christmas Story. This fucking coat.
I can't put my arms down.
Or Maggie sometimes on The Simpsons.
Oh yeah. That. So he picks her up and takes her home, and it's this weird thing where the mother's there, but she only sees the kid on the weekends, but she never leaves the compound, and she's under psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be. So Art brings Candy home, and he's giving her a bath and like finds these like bruises on her back scratches like she was getting beat. He fucking doesn't. Good on him. He doesn't like skip a beat. He drives right the fuck back. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "My wife is beating our daughter here."
I do. He does take pictures later. I was like, well, I get that the movie needs to keep moving, but maybe take the pictures right then and there. But yeah, he goes instantly after the wife and the doctor and is like, what the fuck happened to my kid? And it's kind of
He's like, I want to see Nola. What the fuck?
But I love the setup before he even gets in the room with the doctor. There's kind of this moment where the doctor's just in his robe and his slippers, just kind of like smoking a pipe. Yeah, like. And his assistant Chris comes in. He's like, yeah, this guy's really like looking to come in. He's starting to tear the room apart. Yeah. He's like, all right, let him in. He's sweat enough.
Well, he won't. He's like, I don't want my wife to see our little girl anymore because he like beat her and like because she beat her.
Well, then Raglan's like, oh, she could not have done it. He's like, well, whoever the fuck did it's at this
Whether
facility.
It's one of your fucking crazy people in this place or it's my wife, somebody, she's not coming back here.
Until you give me a fucking answer.
He's like, no, you can't do that. She must come back. She's imperative to Nola's procedure, her program, her intensive care.
Right. Oh, to rip her from her now would be devastating.
It would be devastating to the project. I mean, her health, mental health.
And Frank's just like, double taking, like, my daughter beaten up. By the way, did you forget what I fucking said? I'll see you later.
He's like, I'll see you in fucking court.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically what he said.
And Oliver Reed, like, holds the door and is like, well, if you really want to take it there.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
And this movie is... It's kind of misogynistic in terms of, like, the themes that, oh, she's just a crazy lady, my crazy ex-wife kind of thing.
I mean, she is fucking crazy.
I mean, she's out of her mind, yeah.
But you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of the elements, and I mean, I didn't read about this. Maybe Cronenberg has talked about it, but, like, the way the doctor literally controls this woman, you're probably right.
I mean, well, I read some kind of analysis of it where it was, like, a man controlling a woman who causes her to go insane, which is more or akin to what's happening, but she's already fucked up with why they got divorced in the first place. She's off her fucking rocker, and she's not getting the help that she needs.
No. I mean, we're about to talk about it, but her parents definitely made it way worse as she was growing up.
Sure. And that's what I meant about the childhood trauma and stuff, and how that kind of comes around full circle throughout her story arc, and then the ending, of course.
Well, then Frankie goes to like his attorney or whoever.
He goes to see his lawyer, and his lawyer is basically like, they're going to favor the mother in the situation, which they certainly don't do now.
Yeah, that's definitely either like totally flipped or it's a little bit more in the middle, I've heard. Yeah. Depends on the situation, obviously.
And like, I understand that because there could be, I think of things like Liar Liar and like Jennifer Tilly's character. And you know what I mean? And like how she was trying to take the kids away from the husband and stuff like that.
I think it's also a case of just technology has changed in a way where a lot of things could be saved on file easier. You could be videotaped a lot easier than 20, 30 years ago.
Well, it's also the thing.
Voicemails.
It's also the thing of evaluating both parents.
You
know what I mean? And it's more like 50-50 kind of than just like, they get him for all the time or they get full custody or yada, yada, yada.
But Frank doesn't even really pursue it once his attorney's like, like if you don't bring Candy like the one time, they could just argue that you didn't let her see her and they could take her from you. You never see her for weeks at a time.
They'll get a writ and she'll never see her again. And unless he has like solid hard proof that he can prove that they're like abusing her or she is specifically abusing her.
Right, which is why he then does take those pictures. Yeah. But it's kind of like, he's fucked if he does, he's fucked if he doesn't. He can't win the situation. Yeah. So it's like, okay, keep sending my daughter to this place where she's getting attacked.
And he has no choice but to do it or else, he
loses her.
He loses her. So that's a really shitty feeling that he's got going through him. So even though, he can't prove anything yet exactly. So so we get to the school and this is where I was.
Oh, yeah.
And I even took some like pictures of like myself in similar similar positions as Art Hindle.
Yeah, I was gonna say where Frank's standing. Yeah,
yeah, or like over the edge, like you'll see in a second. So the teacher there wants to talk to Frank about Miss Mayer wants to talk about Candace, and he hasn't really made time for that. And she's like, "Hey, we gotta hook up soon and do this." But Frank ends up bringing her Candace over to Nola's mother's house. I think her name is Julianne.
I just wrote down Grandma, Grandpa.
That's what I did, and it's Grandma, Grandpa.
But I love the visual storytelling here, which then is they actually do say it if you didn't pick it up, but just this subtle shit where Grandma's got the whiskey glass when she's supposed to be watching Granddaughter while Dad's trying to tell her, hey, this is kind of a fucked situation, but I don't want to take Grandma out of Granddaughter's life. Like, we appreciate that. But then he keeps like very intentionally like looking at that glass in her hand like,
I don't know. I don't know if the drinking was a problem beforehand or after she got divorced.
Oh, it's a problem.
No, I know, but I'm saying I don't know if it was before or after she got divorced from Barton.
Okay, yeah, they don't flat out say when the incident happened.
No, but like there's some pieces to put together and kind of pieces to kind of you have to kind of put together yourself. Sure. But like she has a kind of a little bit of a exposition here about Nola's life growing up, and she's like, being a parent, being blamed for everything that's wrong with the kid, and like having the child have the child's own version of their past. You know what I mean? And like, there's a lot of stuff of like right when the child's born, that child has a past, and you're already resentful of it. You know what I mean? So it's interesting here the breakdown of this and how it correlates to the story about like things that happen in your life as a child that are traumatic to you, but might not be traumatic to your parents or other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but I think it's even deeper than that because the way that this is edited, and I'm assuming this is just how Cronenberg fucking wrote it to begin with, but is magnificent because, she's telling that whole thing. Then you get the next part of the puzzle because now we go to Mom getting interviewed with with Oliver Reed, where this is the first time you actually see her on screen.
Well, just to put the fine point on that, she's feeling guilty about anything that she had done to Nola growing up.
Yeah, I guess that's where I was.
And she's feeling remorse about it, which I don't know if she's always been a drunk or she's drinking because of that. That's what I'm trying.
She's always been a drunk, 100%.
I don't know if that's true or not.
The way they talk about it, I think she always was. Her and the dad were both fucking drunks.
I mean,
because they have the whole, you just like got up and walked away from the table because it's all you got to read like in between the lines when she has those psychiatry. I understand.
Yeah, I understand, but I don't know when the drinking started. It might have been before that. I don't know.
Maybe when Dad left.
I know Dad's a drinker too because he's drinking his flask in the car. So maybe they're both alcoholics. I don't know.
I'm under the impression that had been going on for a long fucking time.
And maybe that's a big part of why they were like that. You know what I mean? Dad was drinking to dull it, and Mom was drinking and exacerbating it.
Right. Dad was just sitting there not doing anything.
Right.
While she fucking wigged out and did the thing I'm about to talk about because
Or
now,
did she? You know?
I think she 100% did it,
Yeah.
and I'll explain why later. But yeah, so Mom's doing the psychiatry with Oliver Reed, and she's channeling. She kind of goes through a couple different phases because first she's trying to have this conversation about, did you hurt Candy? Did you do this? And she's, no, a mother would never do that.
And you also have to understand when Reed is doing these sessions, he's playing, like right now, he's
role-playing too,
He's playing Candace.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, mommies don't hurt their daughters and blah, blah, blah.
And then he keeps egging her. Oh, well, are you sure? Is that what mommies do? And she's, well, if she was bad.
Then she'd be a fucked up mommy.
Oh, and then you're like, ooh, you kind of stand up in your chair a little, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of, it flips, if I'm not mistaken, at one point.
Yeah, because he switches to her mother.
Right.
And then she's talking to her as her mother.
And she's talking about being thrown
You
down the
beat me,
stairs.
you scratched me, you threw me down the stairs. And then he's like, show me your anger. So now he's coercing her to be angry about her past and like let it manifest itself.
Exactly. Which at first, if this is your first viewing, you might not really know where this is going. You might not be like, all right, well, yeah, that sounds like some pretty good psychiatric work there, obviously.
Show me your anger. Show me your anger.
Right, it might as well be Gandalf with the fucking moth. Like, that's basically what he's doing.
But he's coaxing her. He's not doing anything to help her. He's right.
He's poking the fucking bear.
Just egging her on.
Yeah.
So we go back to Grandma's, and Candace is going through the photographs, and she finds a picture of her mother and her at a hospital. And it's fun because, like, Candace is obviously the girl in the photo. She looks just like her. And she's like, why was mommy in the hospital all the time?
Because she threw her down the fucking stairs. That's what I'm saying. Like the writing, the editing, the way they do this, they don't have to flat out say it, but you're getting those pieces as they come through. And it's like, oh, she's sitting there like this. And Candace's like, that's such a cute picture. She looks just like me. It's like, no, her fucking back's messed up because she got thrown down the fucking stairs.
Well, she also mentions.
While Grandma's smoking a cigarette, smiling.
She also mentions that when her mom was young, she always had these bumps all over, and they don't know why. So that's why she was in the hospital a lot. So then
that's part of it too.
So that is
right.
part of it. And I'm like, well, okay, what more is going on?
I hope
here?
I'm not reading too much into it. That's just the way I saw it.
I think that is the black and white version, the way you're saying it, but I think it's more nuanced than
it
that.
is. You're right. There's a lot. And again, there's a very big symbolic moment that I didn't notice till this viewing that's going to be coming up later.
Yes.
With this whole being thrown down the fucking stairs situation.
So this is the first time we get the little monsters.
The monsters show up.
The little creatures. Man, I remember the first time seeing this movie, and this scared the fuck out of me.
You don't know what the hell's going to happen, right?
You don't know what's going to happen the first time you see this. So, like, they have this, like, I guess it's like a cooler. There's, like, orange juice and milk, and it's, like, got a...
That's the milk door.
But it's like a milk door where it's, like, cold to the outside where it stays cold, I guess. I've never seen this. I guess it's like big in Canada.
I mean, I've never actually seen one in person, so I can't actually speak to it. I just kind of picture, this is what a milk door looked like.
This thing is punching this door and fucking breaks it open and like
punches the orange juice on the ground,
breaks into the fucking house.
Yeah.
And the way this is all shot is just so creepy. There's these like pan ups and jib pan ups and pans across and like shit falling on the floor. There's something little that's throwing all this stuff off the counter and pulling shit out of the cabinets and stuff like that.
Gremlins-esque.
It's very
Predates it.
It's very child's play.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, all right, Tom.
Wow.
All right, Tom. I see what you did.
How many different ways can you do that? Honestly?
I know, but like even so much as grabbing like the hammer, because
could be a callback.
Well, it grabs this thing grabs a meat tenderizer out of the thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Chucky does that too. Yeah, maybe
when he kills Aunt Maggie. Anyway,
right.
Also, Wild Jane B spotted right on the fucking table. The bottle of Jane B.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Missed that. I was too focused on Grandma getting pummeled to fucking death with this meat mallet.
Grandma fucking walks in and looks up, and it's such a cool shot because like you don't see it yet. It's like kind of it's blocked by her head, but you see this thing like up in the cabinet. It fucking jumps off and just starts wailing with this meat mallet.
Also, one of those Ralphie winter coats. Just this thing. It's just the face and the everything else. That's a cool design.
Beats Grandma to death with a meat tenderizer. You don't see it all the way yet.
No. I do love to refer to these things as DVs, just at a personal note.
Oh, God. You were telling me about this before we started.
Because the Tim and Eric Crimbus special, which was like the last episode of Awesome Show, great job, is a a parody of Christmas specials, making fun of the commercialism. Speaking of Videodrome, funnily enough.
Well, yeah.
And they have this character called the DVD Monster. I don't know. There's a picture on screen for video watchers, or if you know what I'm talking about. He's a hairy motherfucker. The hair and the face is very similar.
It's very similar. I wonder if they got inspiration from
If I ever have a chance to interview Tim or Eric, that's one of the questions. That's got to be one of them. But yeah, these fucking DVs, man. The brood, obviously.
Yeah.
But then Candy, she doesn't hear like the beatdown, but she hears like the commotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
she comes in.
She sees the aftermath.
That's what it
and
is.
And she comes in and, she sees fucking grandma just lying on the floor, dead.
Yeah, yeah.
It closes with this shot of this little thing like on the stairwell.
Yeah.
And it goes away real quick. One of those scariest things that I've talked about a few times, like they do it in Phantasm and a bunch of other films. Yeah. And they like it lets go and it's fucking bloody fingerprints on it. It's so good, man. And it like runs upstairs. Mm-hmm. So Frank gets a call. He's like on a job that they found his mother-in-law dead. And they think, they're not sure what to think.
At first you think they're going to imply that the daughter did it, but like they instantly don't go there. But my brain's like, oh, it was the little girl. It was the little not Heather O'Rourke.
Well, little footprints, little handprints in blood, you know what I mean? So,
but she's so shell-shocked. The cops kind of instantly write it off. They mentioned it briefly, but they're like, I don't think it was her.
Well, the psychiatrist that they have there is like, oh, she was in some kind of deep sleep, and usually people do that to like tune out some kind of traumatic event.
Right, yeah.
And it was like hard to wake her up, so that's what they were talking about. And he's like, your daughter needs help. She needs to talk about it. We need to find out what happened. And if you don't talk to her about what happened, then this is going to grow and she's going to carry this with her whole life. And he's like, I've seen 5-year-olds that have worse ulcers than like a 30-year-old guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, this is such a this speaks volumes for people not getting the help that they need or giving help to the children that they need to talk through something or some kind of traumatic thing that you should be discussing instead of instead of keeping it built up and then holding it in for so long, because that's what happens to Samantha Eggar.
Well,
basically,
when you put it that way,
that's the whole kind of the point of the movie.
I mean, it goes so far as to like, there's a scene later where she's back at home, place of peace and happiness, you would think, but she's just sitting there watching actually it might be at the doctor's office. She's watching the TV.
It's at the police station.
That's what it is. She has the candy bar and she's just dead-eyed watching the TV, and it's like, ooh.
She's just zoning.
Yeah, that's rough.
She's, not in shock, but also not all there.
It's something.
Trying to process it, but just cannot do it by herself.
Great acting by this child actor.
Really excellent. So this happens a few times. Nola tries calling. She's not supposed to be calling anybody, but she calls Frank and he misses it. And thank goodness, because that could have been even worse.
That's true.
Right?
She tells like Chris, the assistant, he's like, who are you calling? She's like, I was calling Dr. Raglan because he's late. He never showed up. Yeah. And then he happens to walk in and she kind of gets out of the conversation.
She's like, Frank, he won't be patient with me. He won't wait for me to get better. He wants to take my daughter away from me, and nothing's wrong except me. It's just me. I'm wrong and I'm crazy. And Raglan's like, is that true? And she's like,
well, she starts, he goes back in. I can't want to say interrogating. I know that's not the right term, but
he thinks I'm trying to turn Candy into baby Nola. And I'm like, well, you're kind of fostering that relationship.
But then he's like doing the whole daddy thing, and he's like screaming at her like he was screaming at the guy in the beginning, and then she's screaming. It's like there's a lot of screaming. It's very intense psychiatry.
Yeah, well, psychoplasmics. It's psychiatry, right. Psychoplasmics.
Psychoplasmic, you're right.
Yeah, he's trying to, she's like, he's trying to take my daughter away from me. He's just trying, and he's like explaining to her like he's her dad.
Oh, that's what it is. Because she's like, oh, you didn't protect me from Mother.
Yeah. Why, you just turned away and you let her beat me and twisted my words and blah, 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 blah.
Right,
and,
you didn't protect me.
You didn't protect me. And Al Reed's like, he was just doing what a good father should do. He's protecting his daughter.
That's where she's like, oh, you just sat there while she yelled or something to that effect.
But she's specifically talking about her folks. In that situation, yeah.
It's a little confusing. You got to watch it a couple times.
Isn't that what daddies do? And she's like, no, actually, you fuck.
Again, I'm saying it's a little confusing, but I think that's also why it's really well written.
Well, I don't know. It's confusing to talk about when you see it happen.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah. And understand that it's a role-playing kind of type of psychiatry. Yeah.
Because when you have to explain that things keep changing, you almost get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. So like you were saying before, Frank is taking picture of Candy's bruises and stuff to use as evidence. And Candace's grandfather flies in Barton for the funeral.
Yeah,
for
the
his
whole
wife.
family's coming in.
The whole family's coming in, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to navigate that. And they haven't been in touch for a while. And he like still has the key to the old house and
but
stuff.
this is
So
like
something big happened that we never
yeah.
really get the full picture of.
Big blowout or something.
Yeah, I mean, clearly a divorce, but yeah.
It's kind of like Uncle Buck, though, where he like sees the little candy for the first time in a long time, and he's like, how big are you getting? How old are you now? And it's like, have you ever seen this kid?
Maybe I highly doubt it.
He was there for the christening, and that was it.
Because Nola would keep her from Grandma and Grandpa, and the grandmother even says that because she thanks Frank for bringing her over to see her,
Again,
or else he'd never see her.
If they were both
she'd
just
never see her.
drunk abusers, maybe it was for the betterment of Candace, honestly.
Yeah, and basically Barton tells Frank that he's a good guy, and like, you know, it hurts him that he see that what's going on between him and Nola because it's kind of sort of like history repeating itself.
Right.
And Frank's like, yeah, I fucking know. I got myself in way too deep with this crazy bitch.
With your daughter.
With your fucking crazy daughter.
Speaking of crazies, he drives over to what I think is a nut. I'm only confused about this place. What is this place?
I'm not entirely sure. It might be just like a home.
Because this guy he meets with, this Jan Hartog character.
Hartog is this actor is also in Naked Lunch as well.
Okay, he's another one I saw that's in a lot of Cronenberg.
He's in a
shit.
lot of Cronenberg.
A regular. Yeah. Because this guy's for the most part pretty on the straight and narrow, but then he also keeps mentioning how he's going to start a revolution, is growing an army, so that's why I think he's crazy.
Well, he's going.
He has a reason.
Frank goes to see him because he's also building a case against Raglan.
Right, and his company, the Kelloid Clinic or whatever.
Yeah, the Kelloid Clinic. And what he basically explains to Frank is that through the use of psychoplasmics, it has stimulated his
the area above his neck because he's
the
wearing
lymphatic system.
Yeah, because he's wearing a towel around his neck because he's working out when he first gets there.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, it's a workout nut. You don't think much of it.
Because he's working out both of his hearts. He's like, well, you work out one heart, and that's your cardiovascular system. And then your other heart, your second heart, is your lymphatic system.
Right.
And he's like, that's a big proponent of, the psychoplasmic shit. So he's like, oh, he fucked with my lymphatic system, and this is what happened.
Right, and then, again, you think he's just exercising
Yeah.
when he pulls the towel away, and it's this big fucking, like,
tumor
on his neck.
And which they're dismissing as cancer.
I don't know.
Lymphatic cancer.
This looks like out of fucking Total Recall.
Oh, dude.
He's got, like, tentacles coming off it.
Dude, it is not normal.
Yeah, you're not cutting that off with a razor.
No, it is not normal. You're not operating that off.
Right, but I guess he said he wants to build an army to go against Kelloid, and he sounds crazy because the way he's going on about it.
Well, because he's like, I have no proof of him
Yeah.
actually doing the tumor thing.
Right.
I can only be like, hey, psychoplasmic causes cancer, so it's like a smear campaign almost.
Yeah, well, that's his whole plan, right? Yeah. Even if he loses his lawsuit, it makes them look bad.
It makes him look bad.
Yeah,
and it draws attention to the fact that, like, hey, maybe I'll second guess doing psychoplasmics.
Right.
So fucking Grandpa rolls up on the Raglan's retreat, and he's drinking like in the car, and he's like, yeah, I came to tell my daughter that her mother's dead, and Raglan's like, no, you can't do that. We'll have none of that. You can't do that. And he's like, what do you mean I can't do that? He's like, because it would be detrimental to my progress. And he's like, you mean I can't tell my daughter that her mother's being buried? He's like, nope, fuck off, bye.
Well, he's like instantly to his helper, like, he's drunk. Let's move on.
Oh, he's just drunk. Fuck him.
They keep saying that the whole movie. Every time this guy starts to start some shit, he's just drunk. I don't want him to hurt himself.
I mean, he is drunk.
He
as
is.
shit.
Oh, like Frank later. Well, I don't want him to drive off the road.
You don't want to drive off a bridge?
Yeah. But this guy starts drinking and he never fucking stops.
Yeah, and he's like, if I don't hear from my daughter by tomorrow, I'm coming up here to get her, you motherfucker. So we go back to the school, but then now the teacher's waiting with Candy, and they pick her up.
There is some kind of, I will say, some false tension here where Frank just, I don't know if there's a scene missing or something. He's just running around the school like, oh, where's Candy? Where's Candy? And it's like, oh, she's just like on the playground with the teacher. What's the big fucking deal?
I think he might have been late to getting
there. I guess,
there.
but they're trying to make it seem like it's this dire situation. It's like, all right, Cronenberg, we don't calm down. The movie's already intense enough.
No, I know, but it has that feeling of like not knowing where your kid is, if they're safe,
I do get it, I guess.
He invites the teacher over for dinner and they're kind of talking.
Yeah. Well, Candy sets it up.
Yeah,
she's playing wingman.
She's like, I'm having so much fun. Can she come over for dinner? And she's like, yeah, okay, maybe we can talk after she goes to bed.
The condoms, I'll bring them out for you, Dad.
Oh my God.
I got them safe for you. They're in my winter coat
Here
in
you
here.
go, Dad.
Pulls it out of the coat.
Ribbed or regular?
Ribbed.
So they're at the dinner table and they're talking, and he's got this fucking line where he's like, he got involved with a woman that admired his sanity and was hoping that his sanity would rub off on her.
Yeah.
But instead made him crazy.
made him go off the deep end a little.
So she had problems when they started dating, and then I guess he just thought they would resolve themselves. That's another thing too. Like,
that happens.
You get into these relationships, or people get into relationships, and they think that like, oh, you know what'll fix this? Having a kid. Oh, you know what'll fix this?
Well.
Anything else besides actually talking about the fucking problem and being like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this because this is bad for both of us.
I think that's like the unspoken thing in this. They never really talk about that.
Yeah, but it's totally a thing. And like, I feel like that habit needs to break. I feel like that's still going on today.
Oh, well, people will never learn.
No, but it's just like
human nature.
I couldn't imagine committing myself to something like that with somebody who I wasn't 100% on.
I mean, you're using logic. Most people that do that are not.
I know, but like, Jesus Christ. But
in the moment.
I am like... Irrationality is one of my pet peeves, and I'm just like, when it doesn't equate in my brain, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I always go back, and I'm gonna fucking butcher it, but I always go back to the George Carlin quote where he says, think of the stupidest person you can think of, and 50% of the country is as stupid as that, and the other 50% of the country is actually even dumber than that, or something to that effect.
It's a fucking shame. And sometimes I wish...
You can't worry about it. I know it's impossible.
I know, but sometimes I wish I didn't think these things, and I was just a stupid fuck. But I'm not.
Right? Yeah. Don't ever do research, Joe. That's how you get there.
Well,
don't ever look anything up on the internet. Don't ever read a book.
You can't even open the internet. Oh, you mean people?
Well, I'm saying if you want to be like that, it's hard not to.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, please.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Barton goes back to Grandpa goes back to the house, and it was the biggest mistake he could have made, because then he starts spiraling down a fucking bottle of Jack Daniels.
Oh, the memory lane hits.
Memory lane. He gets super depressed. His wife's dead, murdered, and he calls Frank in the middle of dinner, and he's like, Frank, you gotta come down here. I fucked up. I came back to the house. I started drinking, and you're coming with me. I'm going down to Raglan's. We're gonna fucking take Nola back by storm, baby. He's like, I can't do it without you. He's like, I'm not fucking going down there, Barton. What are you talking about?
Or he's trying to tell him, like, no.
Yeah. And he's like, no. You gotta come. And he's like, oh, fuck. So he's like, can you babysit my daughter while I go collect my drunk father-in-law before he drives off a fucking bridge?
Right, that's when he says it. Yeah. And then she kind of hesitantly agrees. And he kind of leaves.
And this is like a really sad scene, because Barton like sees the fucking tape outline where his wife died, and is like,
there's the extra symbolism I'm talking about.
Caressing it, and like it's really sad. And he goes up to the bedroom.
Well, before you do that, I think that the whole thing with the stairs, her being thrown down the fucking stairs, guess where this woman's fucking outline is, chalk outline, is at the bottom of the goddamn stairs. That's where she died.
That's a really great observation.
Where she kept throwing her fucking daughter. I mean, I've seen this many times. It's the first time I really noticed that.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I didn't put those together.
Yeah, and he's like purposely, like, carefully stepping over it, almost as if she's really there.
Or like, okay, so he's kind of lamenting
maybe
the memory of Nola falling down the stairs, but also mourning his wife.
That's
who
like an onion, Joe.
In the same spot. No, I'm sure.
Very layered.
I'm sure that is part of it. I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
So he goes upstairs, and he goes into the bedroom and like sits on the bed, and he's down the fucking rabbit hole.
Bawling.
Yeah, he's bawling like a little baby. He falls down on the bed and lays down, and these fucking disgusting fucking hands come out from under the bed, and it turns out the little creature was there the whole time.
You never left. They hid under the fucking bed. Kevin McAllister move.
I don't know. The house looks secure. Tell them to count their kids again.
And then this fucking creature, I've seen these in people's homes. I don't know what they are. They're just glass balls with some, like, snow frosting or something. I don't know what those are called.
They're just like decorative glass balls.
Well, he takes it and starts beating the shit out of this guy.
One of the creepiest things about this movie is the deliberate shots that you see. Like, this thing just gets up, goes behind Grandpa, and Grandpa's like, Nola? And this thing just goes fucking ham on this guy's head. He falls off the bed and just beats him to death with these things.
Yeah.
Art Hindle comes in.
Right, like literally as it's like finishing the job.
Right as he's dead, because they hear he's like a crash and goes upstairs. And this is so fucking creepy, because he goes up, and he's looking around, and you see like the way this is shot, he finds Barton dead, but then like he turns around and sees the thing like in a mirror, and it throws one of the glass balls at him, and it like goes through the fucking wall, like the sheetrock.
It's like lodged in there.
Yeah. And it like, scurries out of the room, and he like chases it, right?
Yeah, he tries to find it, yeah.
Oh man. And it ends up like jumping on his back, and he like shrugs it off, but it like ends up like going into anaphylactic shock and just like dies.
Right, and you're kind of like, what the fuck?
And you're like, wait, what the fuck happened? So he ends up like taking the body downtown to the detective. And the detective was like, who fucking want to know? This crazy mutated kid, this fucking deformed kid. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe the mother had a deformed kid, locked it in the attic. I've seen it before.
Oh my God.
I've seen it happen before.
And he's saying like, I guess this thing that when they looked at it, when they did the autopsy, because we don't see this quite yet. He's like, yeah, it had like a hump on its back, like a camel or something that it was pulling nutrients from.
Oh, well, that's later.
Oh,
yeah.
is that later? But
Yeah.
just to finish that thought, he's like, I guess when it ran out of gas, it just died. Yeah, I guess you're right. That is later.
Because that's like one of my favorite scenes. It's that Predator 2 scene. We'll get to it.
It is, yeah. But they do talk about it when they're walking and talking a little bit, yeah.
But we go back to the house, and Nola calls the house again. And the teach picks up.
Oh,
and she's like, who's this? She's like, this is... And he's like, are you looking for Frank, blah, blah, blah? And she's like, who the fuck is this at my house? Is
You
it you,
bitch.
you teacher? You were trying to break up my family, you bitch!
Yeah, keeps calling her a bitch.
You're
over
killing
and over.
my family!
I love how Ruth just hangs up like, I'm not going to take this.
Shakes but she's so shook, dude.
Well, yeah.
And like, it's scary.
That's a scary phone call to get.
Yeah, and she ends up like putting the pillow over the phone and stuff. It's very intense.
Well, she doesn't know it's Art Hindle calling to be like, hey,
Well,
hey, is everything okay?
Yeah, are you okay?
Uh,
So this is one of my favorite parts that you were just talking about.
Oh, yeah, this is what leads to the mortician. It's like a flashback. He's driving and thinking
Yeah.
back to the autopsy.
Yeah.
Has a purple film over it, I guess, to really sell it's a flashback.
To sell that's a flashback because they intercut between Art driving and thinking
Yeah.
about what he just witnessed. But I don't seem to remember the purple over it in like the VHS or even the DVD version.
We'll have to go back and double check that. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, if I might be wrong, might be completely wrong.
I don't mind it, though.
No, but I love this scene because it's like the scene in Predator 2 or the scene in The Relic. It's
I wonder if that
You know-
filter's on there, honestly, because the puppet had genitals or something, and that's the only way they could get it.
no, it's
through.
genderless.
I don't know. Just trying to think of something.
No nipples, no, completely genderless, no sexual parts.
Not one fully functioning vagina.
No,
Oh man,
a penis and a fully functioning
Right,
vagina.
oh, God.
They are not the Van Damme hermaphrodites.
not this time.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, they go over the creature's physiology, which I really like.
The beak face. They mentioned that.
He's like, it's got eyes, it's got irises, but there's no corneas. It can't fucking see very good, and it sees in black and white, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And then he's like,
And they all have bowl cuts, blonde bowl cuts, like Deevee. Actually, kind of similar to little girl's hair when she has a hood up. I wonder why.
kind of, well, yeah, the bangs. But it's got like a cleft lip and a weird beak and like a hard tongue and all this shit, so it can't speak, but it can like bite you really hard.
Right.
It's like a little mutant monster, you know?
It's a brood TM.
It's part of the brood TM, yeah. But yeah, like you were saying before, it has this sack on its back
Yeah.
that was all shriveled up. So like when it's born, it has like this almost like yolk membrane, almost like a camel
Yeah.
hump that like feeds it protein and shit. And
Blood
yeah,
or something.
the way he describes it is that like when the sack is depleted of the nutrients, the thing just dies.
Yeah, like a gas tank.
like
yeah.
out of gas, yeah.
And this
It's fucking creepy.
I mean, it's an autopsy. Obviously, it's naked, but this dead creature on this
Yeah.
fucking slab, and
Yeah.
they're just like looking at it, like, oh yeah, okay.
Sean, you notice anything weird about this bunny?
And they're like staring at it, like, huh?
And
Wow.
was like navel.
Oh, no navel, yeah, no belly.
No
button.
belly button. This thing was not born, not in the same way humans born.
Not
and you're
naturally.
like, hold on a second.
Come out of an egg.
What the hell is going on with your eggs?
You're like, hold on a second.
Out of her ass.
This fucking doctor is like, here's this fucking being that I've never seen in my life. Like, wouldn't you think it was like an alien or like a mutation or something? Like, where the fuck did you get this thing?
I think I'd be a little bit more concerned. I wouldn't just be smoking a cigarette, casually eating my lunch over
Killer
it.
dwarf.
Yeah.
Because it's like in the newspaper, it's like, yeah, look at this picture of this fucking dead body, and it's like a killer dwarf missing child.
Maybe he gets some kind of Nobel Peace
Yeah,
Prize or some shit
I
just
don't
for
know.
autopsying
It's on the
it.
cover of National Geographic.
He's like, I got my money. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, it's an alien. Whatever.
So again, Nola's role playing with Raglan, and he's pretending to be the teacher,
Oh,
and he's like, I'm not trying to steal your daughter away or anything like that, and Nola's just completely fucking delusional and like blaming the teacher now for all of their problems, like shifting the blame from herself and why she can't communicate with her husband and why nothing can be resolved because she's got serious mental problems.
She's moving the goalposts.
She's not even
as
moving,
we say today.
not even only moving the goalposts, she is completely putting the blame on the teacher. She's breaking
yeah.
the family apart. It's not me and my fucking bullshit. It's her fault.
Right. Oh, well,
She's
such a-
moving in on my ex-husband.
Yeah, right. Like laser focused on that after
Yeah,
that phone
yeah.
call. And unfortunately, that ends up being a problem for Mrs. Mayer.
Oh, it sure does.
Puts the target on her back.
Yeah, we get a little bit of Frank and Candy here, where she's like not in her bed. She had like a really bad dream, and I guess Candy's also getting some kind of psychic information
rumblings.
via dreams
Yeah.
of these creatures and things like that, but he assures her that it's dead, and everything's okay.
Yeah.
The thing that hurt Grandma is dead, and it can't hurt us
Right.
anymore.
I mean, there's even some scenes when he's talking, when Raglan's talking to Nola, where it's like, "What did you see?" And she's kind of explaining it, and it's like, does she have a connection with these little creatures? Does she not? It's not entirely clear. It's like fuzzy. Like, is she dreaming it? She thinks she's dreaming, but she doesn't really know the full scope of what's happening. It's a little muddy
because she's
intentionally muddy.
because she's consciously and unconsciously
right.
Exacerbating the situation.
Yeah.
So Raglan has all of his patients taken off the property. And this results in some bad shit because, like, now he's just trying to... Now he knows these things are out because they're in the fucking newspaper. He's reading the newspaper like, oh, fuck. All right, get everybody out of here.
He's basically denied their existence to everyone before now.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he's admitting it, but...
Well, they kind of know. We'll talk about that in a
Yeah.
second. He kicks them all out of the ranch or whatever. Rancho Raglan.
Mikey in particular is not taking this well. He's like, I need him. I'm addicted. I need him.
Yeah, he's addicted to fucking him, like, role-playing as his dad. Again, not necessarily making him better, but just, like, feeding his weird desire.
He even says he does it better than my dad ever could.
Better than my own dad could.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Be my daddy. Be my daddy. Daddy.
I mean, it's a dopamine hit.
I guess so.
As gross as it is, yeah.
So Frank goes to see Hortag again because he calls him up, and apparently Mike has come to him for help.
Right.
Now, since Raglan kicked everybody out of the fucking place, they, like, found this guy to I guess, file a lawsuit against him.
Well, he did talk about earlier in the film that he knows a lot of people.
He's rallying people.
He's rallying people that have similar problems with this procedures that have happened. And yeah, you're right. Jan takes him up to his room, and he's like, this guy Mikey, he's like, look, Frank's trying to find answers, and he's like, I could take you right to the horse's mouth, and he brings him up to him, and this guy's like ranting. He's kind of insane looking.
He's like, will you be my daddy for me? And he's like, I don't think so.
He's like, even if you're not into it, just do it, please. I need it.
And he's like, no. But you can tell me what happened. And he's like, she's the queen bee. And he's like, wait, what are you talking about? And he's like, Raglan, it's her, your wife. She's the queen bee. That's all he cares about. He doesn't give a shit about us.
Well, and then he finally actually mentioned...
He's up there with your wife.
Yeah. Oh, God, he's screaming that.
Yeah.
And Art Hindle's like, oh,
and, like, that's
what?
fucking weird. And you're like, wait, what is exactly going on at this place? Is he like holding, she's like sexually captive? Is he just like keeping this woman here and like making her go insane or doing weird experiments on these people? Like, what is exactly going on? So Art goes back to school. There's a lot of going back and forth to school, but he drops her off.
That's important.
Yeah, it is important because he goes back to school and drops her off, Candy.
Well, then you see two particularly heighted individuals wearing winter coats. You don't see them from the front.
Swinging on a tire swing.
Yeah, and then they walk into the school again. Still don't see their faces.
Again, this is another one of the creepiest moments in the movie because it's just so direct and terrifying. There's nothing like... There's no like shaky cam or creatures hiding behind things in POV. It's just... straightforward.
That's tension. You're waiting for it to happen.
They walk in completely incognito because they're the size of children.
That's what I mean by that. Yeah, the height.
And they take Candy out and they like lead her outside the door. And then they pick up these fucking wood hammers. And meanwhile, all the kids are like doing their thing. Teacher's doing her thing. Teacher turns around, and then all of a sudden it just goes quiet, and these things are like staring at her, and they just go ham on her with these fucking hammers.
They
pulverize this woman in front of all these kids, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
Thank God one of the kids or someone runs outside, and Frank was just bullshitting with another parent, and it was like runs in, and is like, "Oh my God, Mrs. Meyer,
they're killing her, they hurt her, and she fell down."
Yeah, and then he's like, he knows basically what happened. Nobody else does,
dude. Him like mourning her while the kids were around her, like crying, and then pulling the fucking like the drawing that the kid made, and like putting it over her face,
pumpkin seeds.
Man, that is some dark shit.
It is.
It's great. It's really good.
It is. And then like it's like, oh, where's my daughter? Where the fuck's my daughter? And she's just like casually, like Kevin McAllister walking down the street holding hands with these two DVs. Yeah. It's like somebody and a car drives by. I mean, I get this is 1979, but you see three kids walking down a fucking snow-covered street. You're not gonna like at least stick your head out.
Hey, all right? Like, where are you going?
Something. Yeah, just keeps driving. Yeah. They're getting away from Leatherface. They're still driving away from Leatherface from Texas. They went really far. Sally Haggerty, whatever the fuck her name is.
It's not Hardesty.
Hardesty.
It's not Sally. It's the chick from Violent Nature, and that lady's still telling her about the fucking bear. She's like, yeah, and that goddamn bear came out and killed that guy, and all that stuff happened.
That's how they missed the kids.
Yeah, that's
okay. Yeah.
She fell asleep listening to the story, is what it was. Raglan wakes up Nola again, and she's like, I just had the most wonderful dream. And she's like,
What? That you killed the teacher?
and he's like, did you dream about the teacher? And she's like, no, but I suddenly don't give a fuck about her anymore. She's no longer a threat, Raglan.
Right.
And he's like, oh shit.
Wait, when the day before she's acting like it's like the cause of the apocalypse.
Now she's fucking DED. So now we're getting that the sight is becoming more narrow and focused as to what's happening here. So Frank deduces that the creatures have candy. So he goes. They end up going back to Raglan's, but before he does that, he visits this place where he thinks that Candy might be, where Nola had taken Candy to like stay, and it's like this attic, and she's like that's where she had stayed, and like all of her belongings are still there. And I wanted to mention this because like if you look on the wall, there's all pictures of like the Virgin Mary or Jesus that are all like religious shit. And then like on the other wall, there's a big picture of Raglan, but there's like also other pictures, I guess, of other psychiatrists he's talked to.
Huh. Okay.
So that adds another layer to it too. And it's like the idea of them
she's birthing. Well, there's some birthing involved, so I could see some of the biblical relations.
Kind of, but like what I was getting at there more was like, this woman's obviously unhinged if she's leaving her husband and living in this attic, and like God knows what she's saying to this kid or how she's acting that had her end up in this fucking place in the first place. If it was self-admitted or otherwise, we don't know.
That's true.
Yeah. Before he goes to Raglan's, Frank is at his house. And that's when Mike comes, and he's like,
oh, okay.
He's like, I need to eat. Like, he's like, what the fuck is my wife? Like, where's Raglan? What's happening? He's like, they're up there. You know, she's hanging out with those disturbed kids.
Oh, that's when he mentions it. You're right. Yeah, because he doesn't know about that yet.
He's like, what kids? He's like, the disturbed ones your wife takes care of. They're up there.
The demented ones.
The fucked up ones.
The DVD monsters.
So he just leaves him there and runs up to Raglan's.
Well, then he's like kind of like looking around the house, like, what's the best way to get into this fucking place? Like after he pulls up into there.
Yeah.
And then like Raglan comes out of the door and he like comes up behind him and is about to beat the shit out of him.
He's like, where the fuck's my daughter? And he's like, you don't understand. She's like, you can't just go in there. You can't talk to her. You can't just go in there. There's kids in there that are going to kill her. And he's like explaining to him about that his wife's rage is the manifestation that are these kids, but not wholly what exactly it is yet.
Right. Well, but the thing is, because Oliver Reed's about to walk away, like, fuck this guy, Frank. I'm not talking to him. And he basically says a bunch of shit that makes him stop in his spot, because he's like, Mrs. Meyer's dead. And he's like, wait, she got killed? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it kind of confirms to him that, well, when the parents died, he had an inkling that it was because of her.
I mean,
but when the teacher died, he still doesn't have hard evidence, but he's like, oh, fuck.
It's gotta be.
She must be doing something, whether she knows it or not.
Something's happening, and he's putting his own pieces together. But like, you have a fucking house or attic full of mutant children.
Well, that's definitely one of the plot holes of the film, I would argue.
Well, no, because he figures this out, and like he confirms it because there's a fucking hole in the window of the attic where they get in and out. And
he doesn't realize
it's like, oh, the door's
that,
locked. What the fuck? And it's like, there's a hole in it, and then on like there's like a water thing or something there, and there's all like scratches marks where they like crawled up. So he gets his fucking 38 and like he's like, I have a gun, go in there. He's like, you have to go in and talk to Nola and make sure she's happy and complacent.
You think he's pulling it on fucking Art Hindle at first, but he's like, no, you need this.
If I can go in there and I can slip in there and I can get Candy and put her right under my arm and walk out, but they have to be docile, and the only way they can be docile is if your wife is in a good mood. So make her happy.
It's actually kind of his redemption arc. I mean, it's at the end of the film here. He kind of doesn't have a long redemption arc, but he does have one here at the end.
And he's like, the children are her rage. And Art is still, or Frank is still not putting it together. I mean, who would?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's like, okay, whatever that means. All he knows is that his daughter's in danger and he's going to listen to Raglan to get her out.
He's like, oh yeah, those things aren't naturally born. He's like, she's treating them as her children. And he's like, well, he's not just treating them as her children.
He goes, you mean she's some kind of fucked up surrogate mother to these things? And he's like, no, not their surrogate, Frank. Their actual birth mother.
Yeah.
And he's like, What?
Yeah, he can't put it together. I mean, again, what are you even thinking at that point there, Frank?
He's just like, I can save Candy, Frank. Just go talk to your wife and tell her that she's beautiful and you love her and you want to be with her or something.
Don't mention anything too upsetting.
Yeah.
Don't mention her parents.
Be
or
nice
alcohol.
to her. Be nice to her, Frank.
Yeah. So, they go on their 2 different missions.
Yeah.
And Frank goes in there and the classic shot.
It's a tense fucking scene, man.
Yep.
Between this.
She's sitting on the bed in this dress.
Yeah.
And they're talking. At first, it's calm. There's tension, obviously, but they're not really biting each other's heads off
Well,
yet.
she's like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm here. I'm here to get back together with you. I'm here to be part of your life. Make me part of your life again." And
he's gaslighting her, but he's trying to make this situation. He's trying to save his daughter.
He's trying to save Candy.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Oliver Reed is like tiptoeing through this fucking like den of monsters that are sleeping in bunk beds.
Oh god, it's like the Lost Boys hanging around.
And he's like, Candy, is that you, Candy? And this thing's like, and it like turns around. It doesn't attack him yet, but he's like, oh, I guess that's not
again, because
okay.
with the winter coats on, they all like just the faces.
Their little jammies, their little fucking feety pajamas.
At a quick glance, you could see that
They all look the same.
you gotta look for the beak specifically.
Yeah.
Or lift the shirt up and look for the navel.
The only one that's not wearing matching pajamas is obviously her.
Well, she has that winter coat on all the time, so maybe that's what he's
Well,
looking
no,
for.
she's wearing her jammies.
No, I know, but I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
he's looking for the winter coat because
Well, it's on the floor, and he's like, fuck. It's on the floor.
Now what will I use to identify this child?
Which I guess is, that kind of makes sense. So she's like, you want to be part of my life, Frank? You want to be part of my life? And he's like, yep, I sure do. And she's like, look! And she lifts up her fucking dress. And this external, like it pans down and there's like, she's got all these like boils and shit. And this external womb is just sitting in her lap.
Yeah.
And Arhindel's like, oh my fucking God.
Way before Elden Ring did it, the Brood did it, guys. Yeah, I mean, they have it right there on the cover of the Criterion Collection, which, I mean, the movie came out in 79. I guess, spoil it, fuck it. I was kind of shocked to see that on the cover.
I mean, that was the big shocker.
That's the big
end.
reveal.
Yeah, that's the big reveal.
Especially, like, you might be able to, like, guess that she's doing something, but you're not expecting this lump of the womb in her lap, and it's, like, bleeding, and she's licking it.
And, this is what the psychoplasmics do that we've been learning about the whole movie, where, like, they manifest as lesions and stuff. But this is an honest-to-goodness fucking womb on the outside of this woman.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, and then to be like, oh, that's fucked up. Like, Art's looking at it like, oh, that's fucked up. She proceeds to pick it up. And she bites it like an apple and like rips it open and pulls one of these children out. And she's licking this thing like a fucking cat would or like a dog would.
Oh, God, it's like that famous painting where the guy's biting the fucking... It's God, I can't remember the name.
Well, I forget it too, but it's funny you mention that because the way that they had to cut it for the MPPA or the MPAA, they had to cut it in such a way where they couldn't show her licking it, so it looked like she was eating it. So for the longest time, people
did look like that.
Yeah, people thought she was eating the baby instead of like cleaning it.
I mean, definitely on that 4K or whatever you want to call it, the most recent cut.
Yeah.
Or transfer.
Yeah. No, she's licking the shit out
She's licking
of
the
it.
shit out
yeah,
of it.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting because like Samantha Eggar was kind of like detested and grossed out by this movie, but she was the one who was like, yeah, I'm going to lick this fucking baby.
Yeah.
This fucking plastic baby fetus.
Actors, sometimes they have regrets.
I actually
we talk about David Gale in that fucking one in Re-Animator.
Yeah.
He got divorced over
God.
Barbara Crampton scene.
I still wonder if that's true or not.
That's in there's multiple places that quoted.
Yeah. I think, the Gordon book didn't confirm it or deny. Anyway. I met Samantha Eggar, and or Eggar, or however you say her name.
Yeah.
And she signed my Brood poster, but like, she wasn't thrilled to talk about it. And I'm like, I guess if that's what you're remembered for, but I was like, you're excellent. I mean, she's a classically trained actor, and she's like doing her Shakespearean roles and shit like that.
Not that I always want to compare actors' reactions to things. It's hard not to when you mention a story like that. But I think of Christopher Lee. He did all those Hammer Draculas. He's fucking great in most of them. I mean, he didn't really want to talk anymore, and they kept casting him like fucking Wesley Snipes in Blade 3.
Well, right.
But he gets kind of, I mean, he's dead now, but there'd be interviews and stuff where people would ask him to sign that shit or like have him talk about it. And be like, I haven't done those movies in like I guess he was embarrassed by it, or he just had moved on in his career. I don't actually know the semantics. I'm sure he's talked about it when he was alive.
I fully understand that. I fully understand that, but like, this is your legacy, my man. Like, this is your legacy. This is how I know you. This is how most people remember you.
I mean, I think
the lady who licked the fetus.
Oh yeah, well, I was gonna say Christopher Lee. I think is a lot happier that he got to play Saruman.
Sure.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, the fetus licking woman.
Yeah, but like, she's really excellent in this movie. She is all around. Yeah.
I mean, you're jumping from one insane situation to the next. The way her brain is kind of moving from like reliving these moments of her past and coming back to the future, and it's all kind of it's said all like in one breath. It's very well done.
It really is too, because Art looks at her and he's like, "No, I disgust you. I sicken you." You know,
he like his face tells it all.
He's like, "You hate me," and like, but like, it's not just her licking the baby, like you said, it's a metaphor for the relationship.
Oh well, yeah. It's also her internal bullshit. Also
internalizing it, yeah. And he's like, I will fucking kill Candace before I let you take her away.
I don't blame him.
So then that activates all the rage children, and
Right.
and Oliver Reed's like, okay, fly, you fool, and tries to get Candy out of the place, and these things fucking jump all over him, attack him, but not before he fucking gets some shots off, dude. He's blasting fucking holes in these little mutant children.
These are kids. These are children, by the way.
Well, they're mutant, so
so no one cares, right?
dude, they're getting on-screen blasted, dude.
It's like shooting a baby, but it's got green blood, so no one cares.
Dude, it's full squib action. Like they are popping all over the place.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they kill Oliver Reed.
They bite the shit out of him.
shit out of him.
Yeah, rip off some cheek flesh. And then Candy kind of runs down towards Dad and kind of trying to diffuse this argument.
No, she tries to get out of the house where the children are in the attic. She ends up locking herself in a room.
Right, that's what ends up happening. But initially, she's like, "I gotta go to Daddy," and then she gets scared.
Well, right, he tells her to go down there.
Yeah.
But she ends up locking herself in this room, and these things are punching the door down, trying to break it out. And he's like, "Stop!" He's like, "Call him off! Don't let him kill our daughter." And she's like, "You'll have to kill me." So he fucking strangles his wife to death.
He's literally forced to. They're punching through the door
They're
like
punching
Chucky.
through the door, and like they grab her shirt and everything.
Yeah.
He literally has to strangle his wife to death to stop the killer rage kids from killing Candy. It's like one of the saddest endings.
Yeah, oh yeah, very poignant.
Super poignant. So then she's dead. He has to live with that now, and he goes upstairs, scoops up Candy, and puts her in the car, and he's like,
Dead stare again.
Everything is going to be yay-okay, kiddo. And then like
As she stares off in the distance like this, like,
and then the whole movie, she's like, I don't want to turn, her into a little Nola. I don't want to give her the same grievances or trauma or anything like that.
repeat my own childhood.
And that's exactly what ends up happening. And the fucking circle, it starts all over again, because now the last shot is Candy in the car, and they zoom in on her arm, and she's got these two little bumps on her arm, just like Nola used to have as a kid. That's why she was in the hospital. So it's really, it ends on a very sad note, but it's such a powerful thing,
Hopefully she doesn't meet another doctor that's also into psychoplasmas and then creates this outside womb situation for her. I mean, just deal with the measles and the psychosis, the ESP or whatever the fuck.
I mean, like, I know there's that sci-fi monster poppycock that's kind of mixed into this as a metaphor for manifesting.
I mean, that can happen. I mean, I'm sure it's a very rare birth defect.
For manifesting your rage.
Well, I'm saying like the outside womb. I wouldn't be shocked if shit like that really does happen.
Oh, yeah, but the way that it's portrayed in the movie is like it's the
sci-fi horror.
It's the manifestation of her rage coming outward from inside of her.
Right.
And that's the whole. That's the embodiment of it.
It's the message, and they flat out do say that in the movie.
Yeah, but I think it's really great because it kind of is the ultimate metaphor for, making sure that people get the help that they actually need. You can't run away.
You mentioned that a few times. That's a good point.
You can't run away from your problems, and every time you try to push it down further,
make it worse.
You make it worse. And that's basically what happens throughout this whole movie. Is like every time she's not addressing her actual problems, she's hurting somebody else.
Yeah. When the teacher, her parents and the teacher.
It's to the extreme, but like her parents, she's killing them. The teacher, she's killing them. Until there's nobody left. And then you end up ultimately having, something happen to you,
Well, right. Yeah. I was going to say even like Raglan, who she respected and was helping her, and even like
Killed
to go
him.
after her daughter, for God's sakes.
Yeah. And then she was about to go after her daughter.
Yeah. Literally loses the plot.
And like, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, instead of looking inward and kind of fixing what's wrong with you, you take it out on everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point of the movie. It's just so fucking good. And I think that's, with that being said, let's get into the final thought of this. I know you usually go first, but I'm already on a roll.
I was going to say, you might as well just keep going.
I'm already on a roll.
Is this on the shelf,
It's
Joe?
on the shelf, baby. It's been on the shelf. My favorite Cronenberg movie. It really resonates with me because of those things that I just mentioned. There's so much depth to this. it really warrants a few watches to really get the full scope. But as far as being involving pushing your feelings down or not being able to express yourself in a way or work things out between maybe, your parents or your child or what have you, and growing up kind of in this kind of fucked up
It's like an echo chamber almost.
Almost an echo chamber, but it's like that weird thing where are you misremembering or changing the truth, or like are your folks misremembering and changing the truth?
Yeah.
Like, what is the reality
What's
of the
the truth?
situation? The reality of the situation is you need to help yourself no matter what. People go through bad shit all the time. You know what I mean?
I mean, we both have ourselves. We've talked about it
Yeah,
before.
we both have our own shit, but like the only way to get past those things is to seek like actual help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not let Oliver Reed trick you into promoting his psychoplasmics program.
Right. While there's evidence of people being deformed.
Yes. Yeah, but I think there's a positive message there, even though it ends on a sour note.
Yeah.
And, Cronenberg wrote this because of his divorce from his wife and things like that. So I guess that's his interpretation of that. But I think it's a little bit more. I think as he wrote it, I think it's a little bit more than just fuck my ex-wife, she's a bitch.
And the way that it's put together as a whole.
Yeah. It's complicated. It's a complicated
That's
thing
why I
to
like
navigate.
that onion fucking thing. I mean, it's from Shrek for God's sakes, but it's a good. It's a good
analogy.
They're layered. I don't know.
Analogy.
Thanks, Shrek.
I mean, and just coming back to the title of this episode, I think it's absolutely underrated. I don't think a lot of people talk about. I know people like The Brood. I don't think people talk about this as much as some of the other Cronenberg films. It's not it has a shocking ending, but it's not necessarily as wacky as some of the other shit. Long live the new flesh and yada yada yada, and and Jeff Goldblum throwing up on somebody's leg and it coming off and things like that.
It's a different kind of beast.
It's a different kind of movie. It's very drama forward.
It is
with all that peppered on top, and I think and the characters are really strong. And again, at its core, it has that family turmoil that I think can resonate with a lot of people. And I think it's special because of that. And I honestly think I think it's his best work overall. I mean, I love his other movies, but I think this is his best, in my opinion. It's my favorite.
Sure. And it sounds like you've done the gamut. You've actually gone through most of, if not all, his catalog.
Oh yeah, and and to put a point on that, sorry, the cinematography is really excellent. There's some really excellent creepy sequences in this that I really love, and the editing is fucking spot on,
top notch on the editing,
and of course Howard Shore's score brings it all together. So
yeah, this is definitely shelf. It's been on the shelf for many years. I didn't really mention this earlier, but this also has an added additional reason why it's on the shelf. This is like one of the movies that I watched with my wife when we first started dating. It was on a laptop. It wasn't the full experience on the TV.
I didn't know that. I usually watch this this is a winter movie for me, so it's apropos. Yeah.
So there's that too. It doesn't increase or decrease the rating, but it's just kind of a nice thing for me. But yeah, this is like I said earlier, it's definitely in my top 3. It's probably The Fly, Dead Zone, this, and then probably Videodrome, and then the rest, like I'd have to go and look and rewatch or watch shit for the first time. I'm interested. Like I said, I watched Rabbit. There's more shit on Criterion Channel. Where am I going with this? This is a very memorable movie. This is kind of one of those ones that when you think about Cronenberg's films, like you just said, like Videodrome, it's hard not to forget. Scanners, hard not to forget. But there's a reason why the Brood is memorable. It's like you just said. It's the monsters. It's the ending with the mom, but it's also just that family story.
It's that dynamic that runs through it, man.
And I think the kills, as simple as they are, they're so effective of just this little creature taking a a household object, like those little glass balls or a meat mallet, something you typically, until Chucky came along, you didn't see too much of, and just pummeling, obliterating someone's head. And that's just how they kill everybody, and it's pretty effective.
And it's not super graphic. No, I mean, it's bloody, but it's not like had somebody's head caved in or something like that.
And for Cronenberg, which later films
what he would become to be known for,
and
that body horror.
Maybe that's another reason why it's more underrated, is because people want The Fly. They want Videodrome. They want American History X.
It turns the effects up, but I think storytelling wise, I think it's superior, in my opinion.
And I would agree. I mean, I haven't seen American History X in a while, but out of all those other ones we've been talking about.
You mean A History of Violence?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, two different things.
Two totally different things.
Yeah, my bad. Misspoke.
With Viggo, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta revisit. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
But it's on the shelf. I don't want to just repeat myself. Sometimes I say that when we do these end final thoughts because I just feel like I've said so much already. And other times I have more to elaborate on the end here. But just Cronenberg's a one-of-a-kind director. And like I said, Rabid didn't land for me, but I know a lot of people love that movie. And a lot of his films are just so... I don't know if divisive is the right word because I don't feel like he's like a Ridley Scott per se. I'm trying to think of like the right word for that.
I think it's acquired taste because I know Siskel and Ebert fucking hated this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. The words
not
escape.
that I give a fuck about Siskel and Ebert, but I'm
Sure.
just saying in the zeitgeist, this is a cult movie through and through.
Yeah, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is a little bit escaping me here. Hopefully, I'm making a point. There's an artistic element to it that I think elevates it a lot. I guess is where I'm trying to go with that.
His filmmaking, his directing is what makes it what it is.
Look in that word salad. Go back. I hope I made sense. It's a very good movie. Again, not my favorite Cronenberg, but top 3.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think he has a little bit more budget on this one than Rabid or The Shivers, so that also lends to getting a better lighting. Again, first time working with Howard Shore, better an actual honest to goodness score for the movie. So it was a turning point for his career. Like big time.
Oh yeah.
And it's fucking great. I love it so much. And
I mean, think about what happens in Scanners. I think that's his next film, right?
Yeah, right after this is Scanners.
He really ratchets his fucking violence up in that one. Heads exploding.
Yeah, everybody. Well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody remembers the fucking guy's head exploding. Even if you don't know
when that bus gets machine gunned, all the revolutionaries. It's like, oh shit.
Even if you don't know what Scanners is, you know that guy's head getting blown.
Oh yeah.
You know
oh
what I mean?
yeah.
And how many times has that movie been referenced in other movies? I think it's referenced in Tommy Boy.
I mean,
anybody ever seen Scanner?
Right, yeah. And Scanners has its own goddamn spin-off. It has its own series and then its own spin-off series.
Scanner Cop.
So yeah, what am I trying to say? Cronenberg, fucking genius. Great movie.
Goes without saying. Even though we said it for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Well, now that Oliver Reed has blown away all the DVD monsters, if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster and you get yourself for $2 ad-free audio version of this show. We also have a $5 and $10 tier. You can get yourself some live watch-alongs where we watch a movie with you guys, the Dumpster Dwellers. We also do mini-sodes, shortened episodes, commentary tracks where we talk over a movie. And we also have a lot of merchandise like t-shirts and stuff like that on there. So if that's interesting to you, or you get a lighter version of that here on YouTube under the YouTube membership program, where you get a couple of those things, little extra bonus MD content, patreon.com/Movie Dumpster.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, like this video, share it with your friends if you're digging it, and if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, do us a favor and leave that 5-star review. Hit that 5-star button, but also leave the review on there. Tell us why you like the show, why you don't, even why you don't like it. That's fine too. And yeah, it really helps the show grow, gets it out to more people who will enjoy it, and that really helps us more than anything. And it doesn't cost a dime.
And if you want to keep up with the Dumpster Boys, you can always follow us on social media at Movie Dumpster, or head over to MovieDumpsterPodcast.com, where you got a calendar with all our upcoming events, live shows, what new episodes we got out. And we also have a merch store, a shop, if you will, where we got little beanies, hats, t-shirts, and a bunch of other stuff, MD gear, if you will. So check that out if you're interested at MovieDumpsterPodcast.com.
We also got a calendar on there, too, and we have a show coming up on January 25th at Neshaminy Creek Brewing in Croydon, PA. Do not miss it. It's the 20th anniversary of Found Footage Festival. It's going to be fucking awesome. We're going to have an absolute blast. We're going to be vending there. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be having beers. We're going to be watching some crazy shit that the boys are cooking up. So come hang out for Tapes from the Crypts, 20th anniversary for Found Footage Festival at Neshaminy Creek Brewing in Croydon, PA. We'll see you there.
And if you see us at the live event at the bar, ask us if we'll run to the next one naked and see if we'll take you up on it. For cash, obviously.
So that's it. That's The Brood from 1979, directed by David Cronenberg. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster.